We're for it, yeah. We're for it, yeah. We're for it, yeah. We're for it, yeah. SheHH.
Hi guys, welcome back to the SheHH Podcast, where we interview women in Christian music all around the world. And today we have a very special guest. It's my friend, Ruth-Ellen. Woo, 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 woo.
Hey.
So how are you, girl?
Miss Paula Melissa. I'm well. I'm good. I'm happy to be here.
I'm happy you're here. This has been a long time coming. We've been planning this for a while.
We have.
And it's, a real privilege to have you on season 4 of the podcast.
Well done, you.
Thank you. God has been
Yeah.
good. God has been good. I'd love for you to maybe introduce yourself to people that have not heard your music, have not heard about you before.
Sure. So my name is Ruth-Ellen. I always say this. I'm a singer-songwriter from South London. I always get cussed for putting that in, but it is what it is. Do you know what I mean? You got to represent. Basically, I would class my genre of music to be neo-soul. Growing up listening to like gospel, jazz, and those old school kind of classical kind of I don't mean classical music, I just mean old
Classics,
school
yeah.
classic kind of genres. I like to bring my inspirations from that and fuse that to like what I'd like to call soft soul, the new school kind of neo soul fused with that stuff, R&B, alternative R&B, and I basically just write about my experiences, about my journey in life, about my conversations with God and experiences I've had with God. Yeah, that's basically me.
I love that. And for those that your nearest and dearest, your family, your friends, what are 3 fun words they might describe you as?
Oh, quirky, bright. 3, goofy, to be honest.
Fun, cute.
right.
No, I love that. Jumping straight in with music. And, we're in 2023 now, and you've actually been releasing music for quite a while. So you started releasing music back in 2015, according to Spotify. Yes. And you released 2 EPs in that time. So it was one in 2015 and one in 2017.
That's right.
Starting with Life in 2015
Yep.
and Beyond 2 Worlds in 2017.
Yeah. Well, Between Two Worlds.
Sorry.
I don't know if that's my
Is that
typo.
Beyond? Oh, between. Sorry,
Okay,
between.
okay.
It's just me that can't read. I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry. Between Two Worlds.
Yep.
Can you maybe share some of your music journey from, realizing you could sing and being, listening to music to releasing music in 2015?
Sure. I've had quite an extensive journey. So when I was young, growing up, I was always singing in church, whether it be in the worship team or leading worship. And then always in school, I was, from primary school and secondary school, I was always in the choir. And those were literally my building blocks, where I learned to like harmonize. And my secondary school choir teacher, Mr. Clinton Jordan, he's still out here singing and doing amazing things. He was a massive inspiration because he always, it was a gospel choir, but he always used to like throw in like jazz chords and stuff. And I didn't know what it was at the time, even though I likened to it. It was that moment that I realized that, what are these like alternate things that he's bringing to the table. So that very much inspired like how I sort of sing in terms of the notes I would sort of go for and stuff. And then my sister was working in the music industry. She did a lot of events, or she worked on a lot of events, whether it be front of house or artist liaison and stuff, stage management. And she would always bring me along because being the younger sister, you kind of have to tag along the older sister, which I'm sure you know. You know how that kind of goes. So I would always be exposed to like these sort of events, and then I think I was underage for some of these venues.
It's gonna be like,
not gonna lie,
don't you ever be like 18, 21 or something?
I definitely remember being as young as 15, like tagging along and stuff, maybe even younger. But when I actually started going onto the stages and like writing my name down to be a part of the open mic, like those opportunities really, exposed me to, I guess it allowed me to gain more confidence and just to experience like what singing actually is like. Because even though I've been writing since I was young, I've been singing since I was young, and I knew I had a gift, I didn't know where it could take me. I didn't know the work that would have to go in to actually get there. So fast forward to going to uni, when I was 19. So my first year of uni, like my parents were like, you're going to uni to like study, like don't get distracted kind of thing. I was like, oh yeah, no, because I wasn't studying music as well. I went to go and do something else, marketing actually, with advertising management. And then when I was 19 in my second year, I was taken to this open mic, and then I was introduced to the whole music scene in Southampton, which is where I went to uni. So that's where I met my guitarist, which is who I wrote my first EP with, Life. So that was sort of like my entry into like making music. Yeah.
And it was just from that open mic that you're like, yeah, this is fun.
Exactly. So I kept like just growing with them. Going to all of the open mics in the circuit, getting residencies, just like building up like experience in doing music.
And was it always a goal and a dream to like perform and have like your own music, or was it like, oh, this is fun, like I'm enjoying covers, I'm enjoying like what was at what point did you realize I'm gonna be an artist in the sense of the word?
Okay, so I don't remember really the moment where I was like I was going to be an artist. I think I just loved writing and creating and working with people and creating with people. And then I did love performing and being on the stage, but I was also very, very, very shy. So like I couldn't necessarily see myself as the artist, because as much as when I'm doing music, I'm just enjoying myself with my friends, and I'm not really thinking like, oh, like I'm gonna make a job or a career out of this. It was just for fun. But at the same time, I remember when I was doing music during uni and then left uni, I was like, oh, I'm not gonna go and work a 9 to 5, I'm just gonna do music. But even at that moment, I still didn't understand like how to make it as a make money from music, or like how to create a business. I was just like very airy fairy and was just like, yeah, I'm just gonna perform everywhere no matter what they pay me, and
it's fine.
And it's fine. But then in comes reality
and bills
and adulthood and just, you know. So yeah, there wasn't a defining moment, but I feel like there's always been some kind of momentum that has led for me to engage with like a particular type of audience, where people know me as this artist or as the singer Ruth-Ellen.
Yeah, you touched on this when you were introducing yourself. You mentioned your sound as soft soul, which I love the alliteration. As an English babe, I love the alliteration. It's an English language, the subject. Can you please break that down a bit and just like talk about how you crafted that sound for yourself?
Sure. It was very unintentional. I think it's only in the past few years I really put it in my bio as a thing, because they say that you should have something that makes you unique, you know. And for years I've really struggled with defining my genre, not in terms of the sound, but just in terms of where I want to place myself as an artist. And I basically stopped trying. The genre of the music is soul music. When it comes to my countenance and how I may speak, or even how I sing, literally my vocal is very soft. It's powerful, soulful, but it's soft. It made sense to bring those two words together and to make it something. I'm in the process of building a brand around that. So it was more like an artistic thing. It was more like how I describe my vocals. But in the past year and a half, I've also gone on a very spiritual journey. I've been pursuing Jesus a lot more. I'm going through a season of being refined, and it's required for me to surrender so much more to God. And what is happening is that he's softening my heart. So my soul is becoming more and more like just transformed by him. So when I say soft soul, it's a heart of surrender. And also, so that's creatively, that's spiritually, and even like emotionally. I feel like in life, society has this rat race mentality,
constant,
or this microwave mentality that mentally I can't keep up with. I don't even think that we're called to keep up with that, to be honest, as believers, as children of God. But I, for whatever reason, was trying to. And in June 2022, so last year, I experienced a different level of burnout. This is not the first time that I've experienced burnout. The first major time was 2019, where I actually paused. It was, I think, I didn't actively pause music, or maybe I did, but then the pandemic happened.
Yeah. And forced us all to pause.
So then it was like, okay. And then, so obviously pandemic finishes and it's like, okay, well, it's time to get back out. But I feel like I was going back out with the same mentality and stuff as before. So fast forward to June 2022, had to pause again, but more from a place of frustration. And I directed all of that to God. I directed my frustration to God. And I was like, God, like, this is not what you showed me I'd be doing with my music. Like, what is going on? And he was just basically revealing my heart posture to me. It wasn't great. He revealed to me that I actually don't want him, or I want what I want more than I want him.
More than his will.
More than his will. And I remember saying, like, I stopped gigging last in that time. I just paused. And I was spending time with God, and I was thinking that he was going to be giving me like answers on some very specific things, and he didn't. He just gave me more of him. And I was like, go on, this is great, but you know, where's the real stuff at? And I just had to humble myself. I had to repent from that. And it wasn't just a month, which I thought was going to be just a month off. It's been pretty much ever since then till now. I've been taking some gorgeous time off, and he slowed me down. He's softening me towards him, and yeah, I've now become a soft soul, whereas I'm still going to be doing the things that I was doing before. I'm still reaching what I was reaching before, but I'm not chasing it.
You're not striving.
I'm not striving after it. I'm comfortably sitting in the presence of God over here, and focusing on my heart posture towards him, and I'm allowing him to be God, and I'm having faith. And yeah, that's basically all the things that encompass soft soul.
That is so beautiful. And I love that it's deeper than just like, oh, this is a cute little tagline. It's like the softness of God, the softness of my heart, the softness of the soul, the softness of the music. It's really, really beautiful. You touched on like gigging and, you know, that kind of nature, because you actually spent a lot of time being like a professional vocalist, but a professional backing singer. There we go. Backing singer for a lot of other artists. Like you were able to be on call when they needed someone to do the harmonies, to be there, to be with you, be with them on stage. And I would just love for you to talk about that part of like what you do, and you know, how you found it, and how you were like, oh, like I can sing for me, but I can also like support other artists in that way.
Definitely. I think when you look at making money from music, or music, it's not just about the artistry side. You have to somehow make money.
Speak on it.
And it's not just about just you. It's not just about you. It's about the community at the end of the day. So I have always loved and had a passion for backing vocals to listen to. And then when I get to do it, I get to do what I like to listen to. So yeah, I think it's really important to keep the identity of you as a working singer and you as an artist separate.
Wow.
I think,
speak on that.
Yeah, I mean, there are certain things that when you're doing backing vocals for someone, you're not the artist. You are working for them. Like you have to just have a a humility about it, and you get to meet people, you get to learn, you get to grow, and you get to support other people and literally learn, because now you're basically doing things that you would want to do as an artist, but you're seeing someone else do, and you're seeing, okay, cool, so this is how they did
Take
this,
note.
this is how they did that, and I'm not going to do that, I didn't like that. Or so it's all about learning. Whenever I've seen some of my favorite singers in the UK as well, like also do the same thing when they're ready to put out a project in their artistry. It's immaculate, and they do that, and also they're also making money and going to do backing vocals and function gigs and all this kind of stuff. Like, I think there can be like a stigma around it, and I think I have fallen into that trap before and kind of like pigeonholed myself. There wasn't much growth in that mindset. So yeah.
No, I love that. And you are often singing live, like in different places. Obviously, we had to talk about Big Church Festival.
We need to talk about that.
Which happened this summer, and that was super exciting because you were I was gonna say you were headlining basically. You were on Tom's stage twice.
Not headlining.
Like was that Tom's stage? Was that Ruth-Ellen stage? I don't know. The streets are saying something different. I don't know.
I love that.
But you were at top stage the whole weekend, and I got to see you, which was so nice. We got to see you live. We were there, SheHH, and I was there with the spoken word stage as well.
Yeah.
And it was just really incredible seeing you live. You've also performed at really notable places like the Jazz Cafe in London and places like that. I'd love for you just to talk about, coming from the background of open mic and stuff like that, what you love about live performing and live singing.
Oh, live singing tops it all. I prefer live singing over being in the studio.
That was going to be one of my questions.
Absolutely. When I first started doing music, I wasn't in the studio doing music. I was performing at open mic nights. It's just like an acoustic guitar and reverb. So when I first went into the studio, and the producer's asking me, so what sound do you want? Like, do you want it electronic or do you want it live? What do you like? What does that even mean? I just want to sing.
I just want
my
sound.
song. Right?
I just want music.
I just want music. Okay. I soon realized what that meant, because my first project, when you listen to it, it's very much got a lot of live instrumentation, which when I received it, I realized that's not actually the direction I wanted to go in, even though I would love to do a live project again now, but I think there's a time and place for it, just knowing where to place things. But back to the question about singing live. I just love interacting with people. There's something about when you are singing with two people, ministering two people, encouraging people, sharing with people whilst you're performing, all this stuff whilst you're performing that you don't get in the studio.
Yeah, that's true.
And you get feedback, you get to see people's expressions and reactions. And I remember this one time I was performing at Creation Fest. This was like 3 or 4 years ago now. And one of my songs, when it comes to my songs, this particular set of songs that I've been singing, because I do write in loads of different genres, these songs are more like life songs. So it's not necessarily worship songs, but there was a certain title, or when I'm singing live, I'm able to flow, right? And I just remember looking at a certain group of people once, and they were just like proper like this in the middle of the song, and I just felt like, wow, like I love how I can have a song that I've written that is intended for this kind of genre, but when it's live, you have the freedom to kind of just like
react as you want,
do whatever. Like if I want to add a little bit of Afro beat in there, like depending on who I'm working with anyways, like we can just flow
you
like
got to
that.
start singing it and no one's following, there's no drums, nothing.
Do you know what I mean? Or if I want to add a little bit of a reggae thing, or do you know what I mean? Like I love the interaction with the band, all that kind of stuff that comes with singing live. Yeah,
I love that. And you've even done your own like live music nights, intimate live evenings called Ruth-Ellen and Friends.
Yes.
REAF.
That's right, Reef. Yeah.
So that's a really beautiful space because it's giving you opportunity to really like foster connections with your audience and have them like interact with your music in lifetime. So tell us the process of like creating that and like when's the next one, girl?
Yeah, for sure. So I feel like I've met a lot of new people in the past 4 years. And in these past 4 years, I haven't actually put on any of these shows. But Ruth-Ellen and Friends, I think I started it in 2017, I'm going to say. And it was like a quarterly live music night. And the reason why I started it was, one, at the time I wasn't getting any gigs. So I said, I'm gonna
create my own gig.
I'm gonna create my own gig. Okay.
We like that.
They always say, like, just build your own island, not to isolate yourself, but if people are not letting you in other places, just do what you are with what you got.
Yeah.
And I wanted to invite all my friends, book them as the artists as well, and I didn't want us to just perform. I wanted it to be a space of conversation as well. So I just loved hearing the meanings behind people's songs, and just hearing a little bit more about them in an intimate space where people can just come and enjoy live music. It wasn't necessarily geared to Christians, but I will always have a worship segment. I'll always testify about what God's doing in my life. And what was beautiful about that was that the audience, by the end of the evening, everyone was engaged in worship. Like, it was just so easy to just be sensitive to Holy Spirit and have things just flow, have the worship songs flow. Everyone was touched. Now, I paused it in 2019 because I was, again, experiencing burnout, but just within myself, I didn't just want there to just be these encounters. Those encounters were great, but I needed to work on how we were gonna like maintain that and sustain it and continue to help and reach and minister to the people who were touched in those evenings. So God's been really ministering to me, and in terms of when the next one's gonna be, not sure. I can't lie.
When God wills it.
But we are currently where I'm at in terms of, I paused music, and I'm definitely at the stage where I'm coming back. I'm doing a lot of things in the background, doing a lot of planning. And so I'm very, stay tuned basically, because I'm very much excited to release some music again and relaunch Ruth-Ellen and Friends, definitely.
No, I love that. And you mentioned how it wasn't specifically like a Christian space initially, but you always include worship and things like that. It's interesting because you do work, or you do like BVs and other things like that with non-Christian artists as well. You're in some non-Christian spaces or secular spaces. How do you navigate, or have you had any interesting experiences as a woman in Christian and non-Christian spaces that you've been like, oh, that's probably because I'm a woman, or you've experienced something that's been, oh, but it's because I'm a Christian in a non-Christian space? Like, has there been any situations, and it doesn't have to be bad, it can be like a good thing, but has there been anything that's made you really just like heighten the fact that I'm different from the norm here?
Yeah, 100%. More so with the being a Christian in a non-Christian space. We're called to be in light and dark places. I was doing some backing vocals for some friends, who's now blown up. His name's Saint Harrison. He's blown up. I mean, we just did The Great Escape. I was depping, so that means I was covering a backing vocalist that they already have and who couldn't make it, right? So I was just stepping in. But I was spending 4 days with them at The Great Escape because they had loads of different shows during that time. And just before we went on for the last show, I think something had happened to one of the other BVs. And I think we were already sort of having conversations, and I'm very open about my faith. But I think she was a bit shaken up by something that had happened. And she decided that she was going to come to me and say, I know this might sound a bit weird, but I knew you'd be the one that I should come to you. But would you mind just praying for us? Would you mind just praying for us before we go on? And just like I don't even know why I'm asking you, but I just know that I needed to come to you. I said, no, I'm joking. I said, of course, 110%. I love this. I was literally just like here, just being in my moment with God here now. So come and join me, kind of thing. And it was just such a beautiful moment. So little moments like that,
Yeah.
you kind of realize that you're needed as a believer
In these spaces.
You're needed in these spaces, because I'm not saying that, oh, like if I wasn't there she wouldn't have prayed or whatever, which maybe she wouldn't, or maybe in her own way or whatever, but she was looking for support. Maybe she didn't know how to pray, maybe she didn't know how to articulate things, and I was so honored to be in that space to support her in that time. And then it sparked conversations, and it sparked a rapport between us, and I'm excited about that. So yeah, I hope that answered your question.
No, it definitely does.
Yeah,
that's really beautiful, and I love that you can have those kind of experiences, positive experiences as a Christian in those non-Christian spaces, because I think we always hear about the negative, and so we're like turned away from it. But it's encouraging to know that God can use us in those spaces to actually turn people towards him. I mean, you never know the seeds that you planted in that artist, in that backing vocalist, that maybe watered by somebody else that you don't even know. So that's really beautiful. But even back to your music, you mentioned that in 2015 you released the first EP. Well, it was like a seven tracks is a lot for an EP, to be fair. But it's a 7 song EP called Life. What stage of life were you at when this was created?
Oh, young Ruth-Ellen. Well, first of all, shout out to the producer, Joe Connell. Still friends with him now. He's actually getting married next weekend, so that's really awesome. But where I was at with that in that stage of life, so confidence has always been something I've struggled with in the past, and I think the title track life is what you it goes, life is what you make it, don't hesitate to get to number one. I think a lot of the time I'm just writing to talk to myself, like just to give a little pep talk to myself and to encourage myself, and in turn like other people are able to be encouraged too. I didn't have any clue who I was as an individual or like as an artist. I just basically had an opportunity to record some songs, and I took that. I think I was, finishing uni at the time, or within uni at the time, just not really knowing what was about to hit me in the real world, of thing.
Adulting.
My reality was, the uni campus in like the city of Southampton kind of thing, and that obviously had its own challenges, and being away from home, because I lived away from home for those 3 years, and I guess there was experiences of like isolation and like loneliness and stuff. But there's a song on there called Look to the Road Ahead, and it's kind of like a song from God to his child, to me, saying, look to the road ahead, my child, hold on. And it was just conversations I was having with myself, and conversations that God was having with me, that I was able just to put together.
So it was really real life that you were experiencing, talking to yourself but encouraging yourself in life as well. I love that. And you even like went on to release the next album, Between Two Worlds. And then we cannot talk about Ruth-Ellen music without talking about the song, our song. I actually saw you, I remember you performing this live. So last year I used to do refresh nights with Gospel Hydration.
Yes.
And you performed that live there, and that was a vibe, an entire vibe.
Thanks.
Of course, I'm talking about New Day.
Yes.
This is one of my favorites. I would love for you to talk about how you wrote the song, how the song came to be, and what like stories and blessings that you've experienced, performing this song.
Oh, it's such a great song to perform live.
Yes, it is.
I so enjoy New Day because, let's start from the beginning. So I had a co-writing session with my good friend Melvin. I can't really remember when we started writing it. It's got to be before the pandemic though. I wrote the first verse and the chorus with him. So he's a jazz guitarist. So he's playing these chords for me. And I remember at that time thinking, oh, these sound a bit, advanced. But, we're going to see how we can put melodies on it. And prior to New Day, for those of you who have listened to my music, I usually layer my vocals. You don't usually hear my vocal on top, like just soaring like that. But I think I was just starting to realize what my voice could do at that time. I think prior to that, maybe I was even just a bit like shy or like a bit. I don't really know. But I found a new lease of confidence.
That's good.
And also Melvin was pushing me. So I wrote the first verse. In fact, he gave me this writing exercise to do in order for us to get lyrics. We were actually talking about the sun, right? Okay. So cool. Did the first verse, second verse, and the bridge. He left me with it, and we didn't touch it for a very long time. In fact, he didn't intend to finish it with me. He's not trying to be in the studio. He just likes to write. He's good with writing. Fast forward to the pandemic, I took the song to my producer, Joshua. Sorry, Josh Banwell. Or I can't remember his stage name right now. I'm so sorry, Josh. Josh. And the song, I said to Josh, look, here's the recording. It's just vocals and guitar. Is there a way that you can produce it, but like just keep it not too heavy? And I also said like, you know, my voice, I think I want my voice to shine on this one. So like, let's not add too much like BVs, nothing. Like, let's just have like the lead. So then Josh did his thing with the production. We got our friend Oscar to play the guitar on the actual track. And then I was able to write the second verse in the studio. Now that's new for me because the studio isn't somewhere that I write. I write at home or wherever. But yeah. And the first verse says, next time round, like I'll be wiser, or like talking from a place of like lack, I feel. And then by the time I was writing the second verse, it was saying, it's my time. Like, it's my time now.
So
do you know what I mean?
Like a journey from...
It was a journey.
Yeah.
And I was so glad to see that I had grown. And I wanted to keep the first verse where it was, to be real to the place that I was at the time. And to then establish like where I am now and the mindset in which like God wants me to have moving forward. So yeah, we finished the song without the ending, and then I was like, it needs something. And then yeah, like Josh had the idea of the bossa nova a little bit at the end, and then got my friends in to do BVs, and then like we just were like doing beatboxing, hand clapping, laughing, like extra bits of stuff,
life and realness.
Yeah, just to have a good time, because I was just like, I wanted to sound like I'm in a live show, like I wanted it to sound, you know. And then now when I do perform it live, we're able to recreate that in the actual environment that I was trying to recreate in the first place. And it's like a little anthem. People can take that bit away. And it's like a little declaration for your days, how to start the day right. Like sometimes it's hard for us to start the day. Sometimes it's hard to get up in the morning. Sometimes we need that extra boost. And New Day, it just, for me, just encompasses like the importance of that daily routine. Even through your storm, like you'll see clearer. With the dawn, like you'll look to heaven and surrender. And even though it's raining now, like flowers bloom, you know. So yeah,
speaking hope, speaking a bright future. It's very summary and very like,
it is.
It always makes sense, like even with the cover art and everything. Yeah, it's really
Thank
great.
you. And it has a music video as well. If you haven't seen that, go check that out.
Yes. I want to say that it has some like yellow in it or something.
It does.
Yeah.
It's got some yellow. I think it's got sunflowers.
Sunflowers. Yeah,
I've
seen this, but it was a while ago. Yeah, I love that.
Ago.
We're going towards the end, but we definitely have to talk about what's coming in the future, because you like I asked for some info to like come up with questions and stuff, and you just subtly dropped in that like there's a project on the way called Beauty in Transit.
Yes,
that is so exciting. Obviously, I know, like, to be fair, by the time this is out, like, you know, something might have changed, but
maybe
what's some like exciting stuff to do with this project that you're looking forward to?
Well, to be honest with you, I've been working on this project for a very long time. I'm just actually excited to finish it. Okay, point blank and the period. I have taken so much time out to be very intentional about when I do start releasing music again.
Mm-hmm.
I want to be intentional about how I post, like what information, like how I'm coming across to people. I don't want it to be about me. Because I sometimes I look at my Instagram page and I'm just like, oh, there's just bare pictures of me. Like,
It's your Instagram though.
I know, but it's like, I also, on top of that, feel like I'm not saying much. And so I'm really looking forward to saying things with this project, talking to specific situations and experiences that I've had in regards to like my mental health and trials and things that God has brought me through, and just seeing like how he makes reality beautiful, like how he makes this transition phase, this growth phase, this growing adulting phase beautiful.
Is that where Beauty in Transit comes from?
That's where Beauty in Transit comes from. So there's a title track. I can't wait to I actually can't wait to share this project with you. I worked with quite a few producers on this one, and yeah, just look out for that.
Exciting. What advice would you give to any artists that are either thinking about taking a break like you did from music for a while, or have taken a break and are kind of scared of coming back?
Wow, that's just popped into my head. I didn't expect this to, but invest yourself in community, because as much as I've taken a break, because I have invested in like community and networking and relationship, I don't necessarily feel like I haven't been doing music. So I would say, like, don't put too much pressure on yourself. Take all the time that you need. But don't do any of that alone. Don't take the break alone, and don't come back alone either.
Yeah,
like, we need each other. We thrive with, with each other. And yeah, like, where two or three are gathered, with touching anything concerning, God, like, he is in the midst, and that's what's gonna be the substance. Yeah, is that a word? Substance. Is
Substance.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So yeah, because you need community, you need to stay accountable, you need inspiration,
Yeah,
all of these things. So stay inspired, stay connected, no matter what part of the journey you're on. And I think that if you can, someone said something recently in relation to stats and numbers, like looking at stats and numbers. If you're not content with the 100 likes, you're not going to be content with the 100,000 likes. So establish yourself in whatever season you're in now, how you want to be in the season of success, or what you would
deem as success.
Yeah, wherever you're trying to get to. Like, it starts from inside of you. Don't be looking for it elsewhere. Like, establish where you are and make that the green pasture, because that's where you and God are, communing.
That's really, really good. That's encouraging. And I think it's so necessary that we like talk about stuff like this, because then you have people, like you said, who go to the extremes of burning out because you think you constantly have to be on, or they take a break and are scared to come back and they just never come back because it's like scary.
That's real.
Terrifying. No one cares about me anymore. But yeah, find community, find contentment in where you are, and then God will keep you and sustain you. It's been honestly incredible chatting to you, and so lovely.
Thank you for having me.
Our last question is a SheHH favorite. Like, if you're not new to the podcast, you've heard this before, but we would love to know what is something you are passionate about and something that you hope and desire that your legacy will be in the future.
Well, I feel like I've said it all the way through this conversation, but I'm really passionate about mental health, and I'm really passionate about situations or times or experiences where Jesus shows up in those spaces. So when it comes to my legacy and what I want to leave, just generally in my music, when I'm able to perform or when people are listening, I hope that hope is given, hope is shared, hope is received by people, to encourage them and actually see that they're seen and valued by God, and that whatever they're going through, that it's not an isolated thing. It's actually a space that God can touch and transform and heal and restore. So I hope that when I leave a room, or when I leave music one day, or when I leave this earth one day, that they remember that, oh, like Ruth-Ellen, even though she went through things and stuff, like she always had a sense of hope in God. So yeah.
I love that. Thank you so much for being on the podcast.
Thank you.
And thank you all so much for watching. We'll see you in the next episode. Hi guys, I hope you enjoyed that episode. If you did, make sure to leave a like rating wherever you're listening to this, and to follow us on Instagram at SheHH Podcast.